All right, this is Saddleborn Podcast. I am Sadie Schick.
I'm Michelle Filippini.
And we are here with Luke Pearce at the Memory Ranch. And we are going to discuss a little bit of where you came from, Luke, because from what I understand, you guys came from Idaho. What kind of brought you down Nevada way?
So we ranched in New Plymouth, Idaho for, oh good grief, better than 30 years. And so the valley was filling up.
Gotcha.
And so we saw an opportunity to get out, and so we decided it was filling
time.
up way too fast, and so we got out of there.
Yeah.
So,
is New Plymouth like very northern Idaho, or
no,
is it
it's just,
closer to Boise?
It's about an hour north of Boise.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yep.
So you don't have any family up there anymore?
So I've got a brother that's prosecuting attorney in Washington County, which is like Weiser. And I've got a brother in Middleton.
Oh, there's 4 of you.
Yeah, there's 7 of us all together.
All together, but 4 brothers, the rest girls.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Gotcha. And so, so you came down here. You guys were pretty established. You already had the horse breeding program going, correct? And then were you running cattle up there as well?
Yep. So we've always done the cow thing. My dad got his start right out of college. He managed a ranch in Enterprise, Utah for a guy that lived in Vegas, and he managed that place for 3 years and managed his purebred cows. He had really top Angus cows at the time. He'd paid over $10,000 for some of them back in the, I guess that'd have been the mid 70s.
Oh my goodness.
And so he managed those cows for him, and then the guy sold the ranch, and the new owners came to my dad and said, hey, stick around, show our new foreman around, and he said, how do you want to be paid? And he said, can I take some cows as payment? And they said, absolutely. They were Hereford people, so they didn't like the black cows, and so he took those cows as his payment. So, yeah.
So you're carrying on the legacy.
So yeah, so he's actually down here with me as well.
Okay.
So this is multi-generational now.
It is now, but he was the first generation then, right?
Yeah, he was raised ranching, but yes, he is the one that built everything he had himself.
Wow.
Yep. He didn't get any inheritance or anything, and so.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's super cool. So the cows that he took, were they registered as well?
Yeah, they were registered Angus cows, and so that's where he got his start kind of, and landed there in New Plymouth and raised all of us kids there. And then I came back to the ranch and got married, and then I've got Clancy. You guys know Clancy, so he's here with us now, and I've got a younger sister that's also here with us as well. Her and her husband are here.
Oh my goodness.
So.
Okay.
What a beautiful life.
And when did you add the horse breeding into the mix?
Yeah, so when I was 15, I'd traded horses, good grief, from the time I was 10. My dad, we used to lease an old farm over in Notice, Idaho, from some really backwards old ladies.
Okay.
And they had a big farm over there, and we would lease her place from her, and they ran feral ponies.
Okay.
And so when I was 10 years old, we'd gone and got, I think the first horse I ever started and sold was a 6-year-old, fresh cut stud. He was now a gelding, not halter broke. I ran him down the cow chute and put a halter on him and staked him out.
Yeah.
And that was the first horse I ever broke. And so I grew up trading horses. And then when I was 15, I went to Madera, California, and bought a horse we called Driftwood Stetson. He was a driftwood horse from Gill Cattle Company's sale. It was actually through Benny Norman, who was Gill Cattle Company's ranch foreman.
Okay.
It was one of his personal horses, and so bought it from Benny, and he was kind of the foundation sire for us. So he just passed away a couple years ago.
So when you were 15, you went and bought a stud?
Yep.
Okay.
Took my life savings and went and bought well, he wasn't a stud then, he was just a weanling colt.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yep.
You're really going to do it. So how many horse sales have you guys had here?
So our first sale down here was 2019, and that was a gelding sale. And we sold, good grief, like 70 head of broke geldings in 2019.
Wow.
And then we had another sale in 21 and sold another close to 7 or right at 70 head of geldings again, and then in our last gelding sale was in 23, and then after 23 we went to doing colt sales.
Oh, okay.
So only colt sales now?
Only colt sales now. Yep.
Do you guys bring in outside horses, or
no, we don't.
Just your horses?
It's just a production sale. Yep.
Oh my
so
goodness.
This last year we sold, I think there was 80 colts cataloged. The stud colts averaged, I think, 7,700, and the fillies, I think the wholesale average 72. I think.
That's amazing.
It's
So
really
all
good.
the colts are born right here, the
Yep.
Memory Ranch.
Yep.
That is such a big operation.
So if Okay, I have a couple questions because they're just coming at me, but I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So when your dad first got started, he received those cows. Was he just leasing land then?
So he left Enterprise after his stint there showing the new foreman around.
Yeah.
And he got a job in Jordan Valley, Oregon.
Oh, okay.
He ran a ranch in Jordan Valley for a few years. Had his cows there. And then when he left there, he had enough that he was able to put a down payment on a little place, and that's where it all started at. So.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really, really cool.
And all the cows came to Nevada. Do you guys run cows also here now?
Yes. So all of our cows from New Plymouth came here with us. Yep. Yep.
So there's no ties in Idaho. You're here. Well, I know your siblings.
Other than two brothers. Yeah.
Other than two brothers, but they're Nevadans now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It took a couple years to sell everything up that we had, but yeah, and we feel like it was the right time. It was answer to prayers and all that whole thing. The Lord bless us in many ways. And kind of interesting, we had been talking to a realtor up there because we kind of knew we wanted something different. We were actually getting ready for our horse sale in 2017 in Idaho.
Oh, okay.
And my dad called me. Him and Mom had gone on a anniversary trip somewhere. This was in June. And I had a whole crew of people. We were riding horses every day, getting everything done. And he calls me and he says, "Hey, I found a ranch." And we'd been kind of looking, we'd found a few things we'd kind of been interested in, but nothing that ever fit. And I said, and he was quiet. He said, "I found this ranch." And then he didn't say anything. I said, "Well, where in the world are you? I don't even know where you guys are at. I know you left, but I don't know where you're even at." I said, "I'm in Wells, Nevada." And that's my first reaction was, "Wells? I've driven through here before." And,
Come on, Dad.
Yeah. And then he's quiet again. And then he says, "You need to grab Amber," and that's my wife, and come down here now, leave today. And so we did. We came down here, got a hotel, and then came and looked at this ranch the next day. And it was too small itself, but we ended up putting 3 places together here, and that's what kind of fit.
Oh, okay. Wow. So this was 3 separate ranches put together.
So they were all, I don't know, you wouldn't describe any 3 of them as a ranch.
Okay.
But when they put them together, then we could run what we needed to run.
That's always my favorite kind of narrative is when we see ranches coming together versus breaking apart. Right?
Yep.
So that's really cool.
Put 3 together, and then a couple years after that, we were able to buy the neighboring ranch just south of us, which really capped it off for us and made it really, really, really good. So
you guys have fully made this into your own. I mean, for anyone who's watching, they have a really nice covered arena.
Yep.
Yeah. So you guys built this yourself?
We built this the winter of 2019. So tracking. So we came down and looked at the place, and it took us a whole year to get everything closed. Kind of working with 3 different owners, and one of them was really a stinker, and he can hear this, and that's fine. He knows he's a stinker. So. But we got it done. It took a year to get it done, and then we'd been talking to a realtor in Idaho, but nothing really felt right, and we actually, when we knew everything was done, we had a lot of leases in Idaho, and it's really cutthroat. You were constantly trying to make sure nobody's trying to cut your grass and steal your leases and stuff like that, and so we didn't want to let anybody know that we were even looking at anything else because if it fell through and they said, "Well, we heard you were leaving," and they leased it to somebody else,
Gotcha.
And so we'd been very secretive, very quiet, hadn't said anything, and but when it finally came time that we were like, "Hey, this is real. We've closed on these properties down here," we actually posted it on our Facebook page. That we would be relocating and that our ranch would be available, and we were in contract less than a week later.
Wow.
So answer to prayer, the Lord blessed us greatly. So
everything went the way it was supposed to.
Yep.
So you were putting on these horse sales in Idaho too.
Yep.
Do you feel like a lot of your customers kind of followed you down here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've sold horses from Hawaii to Russia.
Oh, awesome. Wow, Russia.
Yep. And so they've been, we scatter horses all over the United States and Mexico, Canada, and so location was nothing for anybody. So.
Wow, that is something to say. Really successful. I sell horses all the way in Russia.
Going back to your first stud, it sounds like you've kind of stuck with those bloodlines then.
Absolutely.
From that one when you were 15 years old.
Yep.
Because it broke his bank account.
Right.
And I could be wrong, but do you feel like there's a lot of driftwoods out there anymore?
No, there's not. There's not. There's some horses out there that are. You've got a lot of your old breeders like Mel Potter. He just passed away.
Yeah.
I'd be Sherry Servy's dad. A great proponent of driftwood bred horses. Had a lot of them. Loved them. A lot of those guys are just kind of getting away from us. Gill Cattle Company, David Gill there in Madeira, California. Joe Murray there in Oakdale. Those guys they're all getting older and the horses. They're just a lot of the big ranches. Like when I was growing up, there's a lot of production sales that sold a lot of driftwood horses, and man, anymore there's very, very few. So, yep.
you don't see them, at least like in barrel horses or things like that. We see mostly these hot ticket horses right now, right? And everybody's about the buckle sales and everything like that. I know there are some incentives for rope horses too. Are driftwood horses kind of in there, or not really touching
not as much. And some of the reasons are sure a little later.
Gotcha.
But they last clear up into their 20s,
Gotcha.
right? And so there's kind of a flip side to all this kind of stuff, You can have, everybody wants their pie now, but they can't have it later,
Yeah.
So a lot of these horses that are really flashy as 3s and 4-year-olds, well, they're done by the time they're 10.
Yeah, they want instant gratification.
Yeah, it's instant gratification kind of stuff. And so the drifted horses are very famous for being a little later maturing. And it's not saying that we don't have some that do mature earlier. But like, we don't get in a hurry. Like, we'll start our 2-year-olds in the fall. We'll put 10, 15 rides on them, kick them back out, those knees to close up, and not override them. And so when we roll in and really start using them as like 4-year-olds, all their counterparts they've been rode for over a year at this point. And so our last gilding sale in 23, and we had gildings, honestly, prior to the sale. Like, they had like 4 months on them leading up to the sale, and prior to that 4 months, they'd had 30 days put on them roughly since they've been started as a 2-year-old. And I had a number of them that I would have classed against many futurity horses.
Okay.
With only 4 months of riding, and like, they were absolutely legit, and they didn't have 9s riding them either, right?
Yeah.
They were absolutely phenomenal horses. So I mean, you get the individuals. I'm not set up to showcase that, like, this is what we do. We sell ranch horses that take them, use them on the ranch. They are not finished. Take them home, use them.
Put some buttons on it.
Put some more buttons on them,
Yeah.
and continue their education of roping and that kind of stuff, So,
But we're hoping you have a horse that lasts we're looking at
longer.
longevity,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So you keep some of the colts, like you hold
Yes,
some back
absolutely.
each year, and you guys start them and
Yep.
put them out. And, okay.
Yep.
Very
So-
good. How do
so-
you decide which ones you're going to keep? That must be so hard.
Oh, it is hard, and it's not always the best colts. Like, honestly, it's not. Like, it's an old mare that had a colt, and you're like, man, we're gonna keep that one, no matter
Yeah,
what.
'cause
I don't
you
care
love
what it
the
looks
mare.
like.
Yeah.
Like, that one's staying here. That mare's produced way too good for us not to hang on to
Yeah.
a colt. And so you'll have those kind of scenarios, and like, for sure this year, I sold the fanciest fillies that we produced this year.
But you have
But
to
I
sell the
kept-
fancy sometimes.
Because
you
that's
have
the
to
most
sell-
marketable,
Yeah,
right?
you have to sell fancy, but like, the fillies that I kept as replacements were out of mares that were like 20 years old, and they're not gonna raise as fancy a colt right now because they're old. 10 years ago, would they have been the fanciest colts? Yeah, they might have been, But as far as just like sale day, I sold the fanciest fillies for
Yeah.
sure. And I want people that got them to love them, and they will. And I held on to kind of the old blue hens, and that kind of stuff. Some new I like to keep new crosses. So if I've got a young stud, I definitely keep colts out of that young stud because I need to know, what they're going to be like. Are they just like him?
Yeah.
Are they different?
Yeah.
Where do you get all your brood mares from? So, like, say a couple of them passed, the ones that you're talking about were older and gave you the colts. Do you replace them yearly? Like, do you bring in another
Are
brood
you
mare?
sticking with your same?
I constantly watch,
Okay.
the industry. If there's something, I have to be honest though, like, when I go to, like, hey, you got to sell some horses, the very first mares that go are the ones that I don't have anything else of. They are the only daughter of this horse. Now they're going to go then. So I like larger sire groups for mares. And so, like, Stetson, my original stud, I think we've got, oh, good grief, we've got to have 20 daughters of him.
Oh, wow.
So,
And it keeps you kind of consistent across
Right.
the board, right?
Right, yep.
Almost the same thing we do with cattle, right?
Sure.
Like, we want consistency. Okay, I
Yep.
like that.
100%, it's all about consistency. The problem with the equine breeding world today is that everybody is trying to breed a world champion.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
That's what they try to cross for. That's what they do everything for, is they want that world champion. And how many of them make it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what do they do
Not very
after
many.
that if they can't
Exactly.
cut it,
And
right?
that's the problem with a lot of horses, is that you've bred them for something very specific. They failed at it. Now what do you have? You have a horse that's he's not what he was supposed to be, but he's too much for everything else, or
Yeah.
too frantic for these things. And so what do you got? Well, you got a canter horse all of a sudden,
Right.
He's not really good for anything.
Yeah.
And sadly enough, that's always been turned into a rope horse or, ranch horse. And our philosophy is the opposite of that. It's, hey, we're breeding for ranch horses first, and then if they can go on and make a living in the arena too, great, right? But the very same things that we love in the arena are what we love in a ranch horse, right?
Right.
It's quickness of foot,
Yeah.
speed, it's cow sense, it's bone and substance to have some longevity, it's correct structure,
You're actually kind of touching on something that's been bugging me for a while, and I don't know if you've ever thought of this, but it's always bugged me that we don't have like EPDs for horses.
Right?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That we don't have something where we have like temperament, because in cattle we have temperament.
Yep.
We have hoof, and I see so many horses that are navicular, which could be environmental, but it makes you wonder a little bit, like these genetics that are being passed on, how long was it competitive? If it's only competitive up until it's like 6-year-old year, and then you've got a lame horse out in the field, why are we breeding that? You know? And I understand there's certain things, but it's been something I keep like diving into, and I'm like, why do we not have that? There's just as much money in the horse industry, you would think,
Or
right?
more.
Yeah, or more. And we aren't documenting that kind of thing and looking for something that's going to have some longevity to it.
Right.
So, anyways.
So, yeah, no, I mean, like the EPD thing in a horse, I've said the same thing many times. But the problem with it is that everybody, it's so
There's
relative.
a lot more emotion,
It's
right?
so relative, and
more
it's so
emotion in
emotional.
horses, yeah.
Yeah, it's so emotional, and it's so relative to who was the first one that touched them, you know? Was it a good experience? Was it a bad experience? If it wasn't a good experience, it follows them for a long time. I'm not going to say their whole life, but I'm going to say a long time.
Yeah.
So
What type of breeding do you guys do? Do you do any live breeding, or do you do
everything gets pasture bred here.
It does.
And that's why when we load up studs and we go to town, you go to a jackpot or a rodeo, they just stand there and behave themselves, and they don't say a word. If you want ignorant studs, you hand breed.
Okay.
Gotcha, interesting.
So
How many, because you don't really hear of everyone always live breeding, huh? They get the vet involved
no,
and they do
no.
the artificial.
Well, and you wonder, I don't know,
Saves
another
some money
rabbit
that way
hole.
too, doesn't it?
sure, I don't have
As
to
long
worry
as
about
your
it,
stud
right?
doesn't get kicked, right?
Right?
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
they do get kicked. They get hurt sometimes.
How many mares will you turn out with one stud?
So depending on the seniority of the sire, you know, that kind of makes a difference. Typically, like most senior studs, they'll get up in the teens.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And then
They
the
really
younger
have
horse,
their pick.
And the younger horses will get, 5 to 10, depending on kind of where we're going to run everything.
Yeah.
But every spring, my dad and I sit down and we open up the AQHA book, and we start at the very start. We start with a 3-year-old filly. So we start our 2-year-old fillies and ride them, and then they get turned out as a 3-year-old, so they foal as 4-year-olds. So that's kind of how that works for us.
Do you hire people just to ride?
Yep.
Okay. How many do you have?
Brody Jones works for me, and he rides rope horses. That's pretty much all he does. If we're doing cow stuff, he obviously comes and jumps in and goes with us. But that way, every day, he just knows what he's doing. Like, he shows up, he starts when he wants to start. And if he's got a jackpot or a rodeo, and he didn't get home till 2 a.m, I'm not calling him, hey, where are you at,
Yeah.
Like, he does his own thing, but he shows up every day and ropes, has his string of horses that he rides, and then I've got a young kid from Spring Creek, Cody Fowers, that has been working for me for the last 2 years. 2 years in January, and he's our colt starter. So he starts the colts, and right now he's breaking baby colts to lead. So,
Okay,
yep.
gotcha.
That takes a lot. Like, all your trust is in their hands. Like, help me
Sure.
start them. And I mean, anything could go wrong, and you can teach bad habits quickly.
Yep. So I mean, they're
That's
definitely
hard to pick out who you want working
Sure.
with your colts.
And like Cody comes from rural, right? Spring Creek, but not ranching necessarily. And so he's been on a huge learning curve here, and he's very talented, and he's learning a lot.
And he's more moldable. Like, you can shape him
Right?
to what you
Yeah.
like or
Yeah.
what you want to see.
That's what we've found is that we almost have better luck, teaching
Someone who's maybe a little green or.
Yep, a little green, so they're willing
Yeah.
they're willing to learn,
Yeah.
Because I've hired a lot of people. The thing that they struggle with is turning loose of incorrect habits or something like that. And I'm not saying we've got it all figured out. We don't, but I always tell my kids, like, if you think you've arrived, that's when you know you haven't. Like,
The less
you
you know,
never stop
the more you
learning.
think you know.
Exactly,
Right?
right?
It's so true.
So it is, horsemanship is continuing to learn, like, everything. And I've always said I've learned something from every single person that's ever worked for me. I've learned things to do, and I've learned lots of things not to do. But it's all knowledge. So, and so we've picked up a lot, we've learned a lot, and so, yeah, it's way easier to take somebody that doesn't know anything. And yes, it's very hands-on, it's very hard. Clancy typically is the one that gets that dumped on him. I'll say, hey, you got to go help out. You got to go show him what he's doing wrong,
Yeah.
right?
You
Anyway.
be the bad guy. I always think, like, if we go somewhere else to help someone else, it's their cattle, their horses, we do it their way.
Sure.
Right? Because they're the ones who have to deal with the repercussions. And so I try and, like, convey that, like, I understand you have a way that you learned before you came and helped us, but we're the ones who have to deal with the consequences. So please be respectful enough to follow that, you know?
Sure.
So anyways, yeah. So I was going to bring up while we were talking horses was you said you do all the pasture breeding. I don't know if you've noticed this before, but like in thoroughbreds, they have to be live covered, right?
Yep.
And that affects how many offspring they can have.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that that would encourage, like AQHA, we can AI, and you can shoot out thousands of straws of semen and have 1,000 colts on the ground just from one stud? So as far as like the genetic pool being a little bit narrower, because I don't know how many slick by designs I've seen lately. Like there's so many of them out there. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think that, breeding horses is a little bit like advertising, okay? You can buy all the slickest paper in the world and stick it in front of everybody. All it takes is money. Doesn't mean that your product is any better than anybody else's.
Right.
And that is the...
That's why you can't buy the time with the animal.
Yeah.
How invested you are in it.
Yeah.
So
So
that is, I'm not going to say, anything as far as like negativity wise, according to, hey, because that is throwing AI clear open is what made Angus cattle today. Herefords, they limited, like thoroughbreds do.
Yeah.
How many you could AI, but they limited how many calves you could register to each bull. Right?
Oh, interesting.
So this is back
Okay.
in like the 70s.
Yeah.
And that is what allowed us to make so much genetic progress in Angus cattle. Are we backing ourselves into a corner in the horse world? I think we probably are just a little bit, and I think it's just because of too much slick paper advertisement instead of
Gotcha.
real world type stuff. you
Yeah.
know?
And I guess like horses also depend on who has them, right? We've
Yeah.
kind of touched on that a little bit. So
Yeah.
if you put a horse in the hands of like Sherry Servey or Trevor Brazil, it might thrive a lot more than
Yep.
going to Sadie Schick over in Elko,
Right, right.
She's
So-
not allowed to sell herself
but you know
short
what I
like
mean?
that.
So that kind of, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to go on your viral post
Okay.
about letting the camel in. So caught on to that during my rabbit holing lately as I go into our political climate that's regarding cattle, right?
Sure.
And you made a post, and it's pretty much like in a quick summary, we're talking about climate change and cattle and what these billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates are doing to try and, I don't know, kind of blame greenhouse gases on cattle farts.
So, Luke, don't you have the answer? How do you stop cows from burping?
Absolutely. Got all the answers here. Put cowboys together for a long enough time and you'll get all the answers you need.
So anyways, were you the one who wrote that post?
I am, yep.
Okay.
My sister helped me edit it, but yes, I wrote it, yep.
And
The
so you've
camel
obviously put
made it
some
in the
thought
tent
into
now?
this. And so I know that we've had, there's money being put out, and there's an argument being made that if you're accepting the money to study climate change in cattle, that it's really bordering on agreeing that cattle affect climate change,
Sure,
right?
yep.
And so why don't you kind of tell us what happened with the post, what inspired you to make the post to begin with, and then kind of like inform people that maybe don't know what's going on there.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I guess rolling back a little bit, I mean, I'd say we're fairly political people, We like the Constitution, and we're very Christian, and we think that all kind of rolls together in the same kind of ball of wax, And so along with that, truth is not relative. Truth is always truth. And I think so much in today's society, everybody gets kind of really caught up in the weeds as far as, is this true? Is it not true? And,
Fake
and
news.
it's my true compared to your true.
Yeah.
That's BS. There's only one truth, and it comes from God. That's what we believe. So I am willing to go to battle on issues of truth, right? Now, if you and I are going to talk about what we're going to breed this mare to and which stud I'm going to breed her to, hey, I can compromise. We can talk about it all day long, right?
You're
We can agree
open-minded
that
when
it's
I'm
you-
subjective.
open-minded,
Yeah.
absolutely. But when it comes to truth is not something science is going to change.
There's no gray area.
No, there's no gray area. It's just it's the truth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that being said, climate change is a box of hoax that we've been sold. The ice is melting, and so what do all the millionaires do? They go buy houses on the beach, right? That's what they all do. And so
tell
they don't
you.
even believe their own story. Now, in this whole scenario, I don't know if you guys have seen the news, but Bill Gates just came out and finally admitted that it's all a hoax. It's not. greenhouse gases, and methane is not going to destroy the earth, and global warming is not really what it's...
Methane is the least of our worries, right?
It is the least of our worries. Okay, he just came out and said that like last week. So, Jeff Bezos's Earth Fund came and donated $4.85 million to the Angus Association to manage, right? And they accepted it. The board of directors accepted this money. I don't know what they're actually going to make. I've heard different figures thrown out, but they're managing this for a fee. $100,000 is what I've heard. Whether that's correct or not, I don't know. But they will now take this grant money and they will ship it out for the study of methane. And, accepting this money in and of itself, like you already alluded to, is kind of, saying, hey, maybe we do have a problem. And we don't believe that's a truth, right?
Yeah.
It's obviously not, because Bill Gates just came out and admitted it wasn't. And now the Angus Association is standing here holding the bag, and the elites are starting to turn their back on them as far as, hey, we got you to accept this money, but now it's fake news, it's fake science. And so this article kind of just, we actually intended it to go with our bull sale catalog.
Okay.
That's where it was headed to.
So you would have had it on a page?
Yeah, it was in the catalog.
Yes.
It was in the catalog. We had our proof, and it went to print, and we got a phone call. So it went to print on Wednesday. We got a phone call Thursday night saying that they weren't going to print it because of this article that was in our bull sale catalog.
And the printer is the Angus Association?
Angus Media is who was printing it for us, right? And our first bull sale, very overwhelming, putting all these EPDs, pedigrees, for a bull sale. And so they have the whole template to drop and paste everything in place. And so we went with Angus Media. And anyway, so that's why. But all of a sudden, so it went Wednesday. We were counting on it because it would be, like, they were going to be fast. It was going to hit the mail like that weekend.
Yeah.
And we got a phone call Thursday night saying, we're not printing it. We said, why? And they said, well, because of this derogatory letter. And we said, what is derogatory? What in there was derogatory? We didn't throw mud. We didn't, anything. We just pointed out some facts that we disagree with. Exactly. Exactly. And they wouldn't back down. They would not go to print with it. So we had to pull the letter out so we could print our catalog. And so, anyway, so that's kind of the scoop on that. And so, and all the letter does is just goes through and talks about how we feel like we've been sold out by our industry, and not only Angus, right? I think that they are the ones that unfortunately get mentioned in there, but the rest of the industry that we as cattlemen look at as supporting us has also sold us out. They've sold us down the tubes. Drover's Magazine a couple years ago had like a 3-page spread that looked like an article, but it was actually paid for by our beef checkoff dollars.
Oh,
so beef checkoff was started back in 1985, and that's where we tax beef at sale yards, right? When they sell $1 a head, that goes to the beef checkoff program, and that program is supposed to assist and help in marketing beef, right?
Oh, okay.
So they should be the ones running the eat beef campaigns and that kind of stuff. And this article was talking about methane and being carbon neutral by like 2030, I think it was.
So pretty much setting a goal.
Yeah, exactly.
For us regarding that.
And it was being paid for by us, right?
Okay.
So, there's been a lot of selling out gone on in our industry. And I think that's where the camel nose part came into the analogy was really, really good, because everybody in our industry wants to talk about this other group being so powerful and they've got this science behind them, and we really just need to keep our heads down and we'll just compromise. It's always compromise. Everybody wants to compromise all the time. And I'll compromise, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
On which, Mary, I'm going to read that stud too, right? I will. I'll compromise all day. I'll do everything we can. But on something that is true and false, absolutely not. There is no room for compromise. Like, dig your heels in and say absolutely not. So... Yeah.
Well, I think there's that verbiage, right? You have to stand for something or you fall for anything.
Exactly.
And so if you aren't willing to stand up for the simplest thing, then you're just setting yourself up to be pretty much a doormat, right?
Yep.
So we've done a lot of discussion on MCOOL lately.
Yep.
With that came my rabbit hole. So when that was first repealed, I saw that the gentleman who had kind of advocated for repealing it is now working for JBS.
Sure.
And so we've kind of gone down that rabbit hole as far as country of origin labeling, but you just mentioned that this beef checkoff. So I'm just now getting in there. So I didn't even know about beef checkoff. So if that's a tax to do advertising for us, when MCOOL was rescinded, why didn't they do something as far as country of origin labeling themselves?
Okay.
Couldn't they have set up some sort of almost like a beef? Okay, well, I'm learning, so I'm like,
I gotta fix my earphones here.
Fix your earphones.
So-
But I didn't mean to, but I'm like down there right now. I told you, I'm
Alright.
about tinfoil hatted right now.
So-
He's gonna need
Yeah.
a drink of water to answer your answer. Your
So
question.
I had mentioned this the last time because I think in my brain I'm thinking certified Angus, right?
Sure.
And you see that marketing at the store,
That's just Angus marketing. That
And
has
that's
nothing
Angus
to do.
marketing.
Has nothing to do with beef checkoff
right?
with
But
anybody else.
couldn't we copy that model and use it as a marketing way to market American-made beef?
You know, I mean, yeah, but no one. So, like I said, 1985.
Yes.
So we've had this for 40 years.
Yes. So that's why I'm like, wait, we've had this for 40
We've
years?
had it for 40 years, right? Everybody should be on the all meat diet right now, right?
Yeah.
Like that's good science,
Marketing our
actually.
beef.
And you don't ever see that anywhere. So since 1990, mid 90s, NCBA, that's National Cattlemen's Association, has been in charge of most of the beef checkoff money. They only represent 3% of cattlemen. This is something a lot of people don't realize.
No.
Oh, okay.
Tell us
So
more.
National Cattlemen's Association only represents 3% of American cattlemen.
And does that mean the rest are not members?
They are not members
Okay,
of
okay.
NCBA.
Gotcha.
Yep. And why are they not members? Because they don't feel like NCBA represents them very well.
Okay.
But they have won the bid for dealing with our checkoff dollars, okay? So
Okay.
they are the ones, when you see checkoff ads somewhere, they're the ones responsible for that. They're a very powerful lobbying group because they pack the name of National Cattlemen's, right?
Yeah.
And they get the beef checkoff money, and so they're a very powerful lobbyist group back in Congress and in state legislatures. They have been against mandatory country of origin labeling since Helen Chenoweth brought it to us. Okay? I knocked on doors as a teenager for Helen Chenoweth.
You did?
I did.
Wow.
My parents were very political in Idaho, and I went door to door. I marched in parades. We hooked up the wagon, and they gave her rides on a wagon in Idaho parades, and she was our congresswoman. And she is the one that brought country of origin labeling. Okay. In 2015, the cattle market crashed. Everybody's sitting here shaking their heads, wondering. We had record high prices in 2015 in the spring.
Yeah.
And by fall, when everybody sells their calves, I mean,
Gone.
I think I had a neighbor in Idaho that sold their heifers for like 80 cents. Like it
Yeah.
was ridiculous,
Wow,
right?
yeah.
And so, and everybody's shaking their head thinking, oh, well, it couldn't last forever. It's the boom and bust system that always happens and everything else. Well, guess what? We got rid of country of origin labeling in 2015. Can you imagine? Is there a correlation? Well, guess what? A lot of our specialists tell, no, there was no correlation at all. And you say, how is that even possible, right? We got rid of country of origin labeling. So I believe the shirts you guys are wearing, the jeans,
Yeah,
they all
everything.
tell you
Tells it
exactly
where it's
where
from.
that was made
Yeah,
at, right?
yes.
Absolutely.
Yep. But the beef does not.
No.
You'll buy a steak in the grocery store and it'll say U.S. on it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was
No, it's just
grown
because
in the US.
it's been in the USA
It was-
for 24 hours.
It was packaged
and
here.
packaged.
It was packaged
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
It's-
very, very dishonest.
There's so
Right.
many people that don't understand that.
Yep.
Yep.
But so here's the problem. We have a monopoly on the packing industry. There's 4 major
Yes.
packers.
Yep.
They control 80 to 85% of all beef killed in the United States, and 2 of them are owned by none other than Brazil. And we actually ship a lot of meat in here from Brazil prior to President Trump's tariffs.
Yeah, they met their quota by January 17th
Yeah.
in 2025,
Yeah.
this year.
So here a couple weeks ago,
Not
when
forgetting these facts.
he said, "Hey, we're going to ship in some Argentina beef," okay? Just for everybody's perspective, for how much Argentina beef he wanted to ship in, it was half a day kill.
Yeah.
Out of the entire year, it was half of a day kill. That's how much beef we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. You're talking about a drop in the bucket. Was
Yeah.
that going to affect? Sorry, President Trump, but that was not going to lower beef prices in stores.
No,
It's
but
just
it
not.
felt like it was 2 birds, 1 stone. Like I'm gonna throw Argentina
Well-
a little bone, and then maybe people will see that I'm trying.
Exactly,
you know?
right? And I think it's also interesting to note that, so he made that comment on, was it a Thursday?
I think so.
I think it was Thursday.
Thursday, yeah, Thursday.
Something that a lot of people don't realize, there was an election in Argentina on Sunday.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And you realize that
Okay.
Argentina is the only country in the world that is moving closer to capitalism than socialism right now?
Yes, they're trying to get away from
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So was President Trump trying to help them? I think he was. Did the American cattlemen freak out about it? Yes, they did. A couple days, the following week, Congress was trying to decide whether they wanted President Trump's tariffs to remain on Brazil, right?
Yes.
And all of our lobbying groups, the ones that are supposed to represent the American ranchers, right? NCBA, LMA, there's a coalition, I can't even know what it's called. They were all silent. None of them said anything.
Didn't say a word.
Yeah.
Do you believe it's
So
because they're not
Argentine
educated
beef
enough
is
on
not
it,
a-
though?
No,
No,
it's not
those
about
guys
education.
are educated. LMA and all those
sorry.
guys. Yeah, those
Yes, they're
guys
very
are very
educated.
educated.
Quiet.
on it.
They
Yeah.
want Brazilian beef because why? They are controlled by the packers. And two of the major packers are from Brazil. They are willing to die on this Argentina beef thing, though. They stood President Trump up in the
Yeah.
Oval Office. They were invited, and they stood him up. That is BS. The man has done tons for the American rancher. Does he understand our industry completely? No, but I think he knows a lot more than we want to give him credit for. So
I like that you say that.
Yeah.
Because he did take it kind of hard from a lot
he
of
did.
ranchers.
In fact, he came out
Yeah.
and said, hey,
What the
the
heck?
heck's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
You guys have this market because of me,
Right.
right? And I have to admit, like, he's a little bit right. Like, these tariffs have helped the market. The shortages is what majorly, but you start examining all the reasons why America beef we're a little short is because we've put all of our ranchers out of business over the last 40 years.
Yep, we've
okay?
been putting them out. We have a shortage,
Yep.
and what would stop them from just filling that shortage with imported beef? Well, a tariff,
Exactly.
It's not cheap anymore.
Exactly.
So.
And there's been a lot of contributing factors to the shortages, and putting American ranchers out of business.
Yeah.
So the checkoff money is not what put them out of business, right?
No.
The $1 a head tax did not put them out of business.
No.
But you're talking about millions and millions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
And that's not what put them out of business. What put them out of business was lack of country of origin labeling. In the last few years, that put a lot of ranchers out of business. NAFTA affected us. That was back in 1993.
Oh, okay.
That was a free trade agreement we did with South America. That put a lot of ranchers out of business. Okay, and it's not a matter of free trade in a capitalist society is necessary, right? I studied this in college, and I used to argue with my professors about NAFTA and CAFTA and all the free trades that we have. And the problem with those are, and an economist or something is going to listen to this and be like, that guy's wrong. But this is the problem, and I will argue it because I think this is absolute truth.
Let him
I
hear
will
it.
not
Podcast,
negotiate
say
on
whatever
this.
you want.
Let him hear
Yeah,
it.
the problem is that free trade should be free trade in both directions, and it's not, and it hasn't been.
Yeah.
And also, free trade should be equal playing field, right? They are not held to the same standards that we are held to. So, is that really free trade?
Yeah.
No, it's not, because if they were level playing field and they had to jump through all the hoops that I have to jump through,
Right.
and run my cattle and not give them certain things like we have to, like that becomes a level playing field. But we're trading with third world countries,
Don't have labor laws.
don't have anything,
Yeah,
right?
none of those things to
Right.
kind of restrict them.
Yep.
And cost more money, right?
Exactly.
So with our country of origin labeling, I also saw like people are arguing that I'm on my rabbit hole, but people are arguing that it doesn't matter, that people don't care where it's coming from. But I think if you're arguing that it doesn't make a difference and it didn't affect prices, then why are you against it?
Exactly.
Because then we could just have our labeling and it's not going to hurt anything, and why are you against it then
Yeah.
if it's not really affecting prices?
But
So-
those same people, like we were talking about our clothing items, they might not buy that because it was made in China.
Yeah,
or
they know it
Argentina.
affects the
Yeah.
prices. That's the only reason to be against it.
Yes.
You don't be against something if someone wants it and it has no effect on
Right.
you.
Yep, exactly, exactly. So no, I mean, that's the argument they use, but I promise you that if you have a steak sitting there on the counter and, this one says it was, grown and harvested here in the U.S. and this one was from Brazil,
Yeah.
and say, hey, you know what, customer, you have your choice, and
Yeah.
that's all we want to offer you is the choice to choose. And you may have to pay a little more for that U.S. steak,
Yeah.
but take them home and try them both, and I promise you, you won't ever buy the Brazilian one again.
You're right. I believe he's 100%
So,
right.
100% right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it is. And so, is Argentina shipping meat in here going to lower the beef prices for the grocery store? No, they're not. But what's going to lower the prices in the grocery store for people is bringing back country of origin labeling, and we will accept as much foreign meat as you want to ship in here
Yeah,
at that point,
it's
right?
fine, yeah.
Let the customer decide what they want. The consumer needs to decide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they will choose U.S. grown every single time because they know
will.
it's safe and it is the best product in the world.
Yeah. So I was thinking, I was stewing on this a little bit coming over here, but I was thinking we're concerned with our meat supply is being controlled by 4 companies, right? And how do we undo that a little bit? And I kind of thought on it, and I was like, well, what if you got rid of some of the restrictions on like a butcher shop for the USDA certification? Because I know that it is a big financial burden and it's a lot of hoops you have to jump through just to be USDA certified to be able to resell meat. And when I think on that, like, I want it to be USDA certified if it's being shipped in across the country or something like that. But if I'm buying local beef and I want to go into a butcher shop that's local, I can deal with the consequences if they did a poor job, because I can stop giving them business, right?
Sure.
And I can talk to that person. So I think personally I'd be okay buying beef if I could go down to, say there was a new butcher in town, or maybe the grocery store in town sells local beef, without it being inspected with the USDA.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
I mean, anytime you start getting into licensing and that kind of stuff, you you open a whole can of worms that it's very, very difficult.
Right.
You get the government involvement and stuff like that, So it's a food safety issue, and so you're going to have a hard time
It'd be hard to
getting
get it
anybody
pushed.
to back off of that.
Yeah.
But,
Sadie can't give him a piece of her mind. She doesn't want to buy
sorry,
it.
yeah.
Right.
The story.
Well, I mean, people do it now. I mean, they carcass share and stuff like that,
Yeah.
where they're
And
paying
there's
for it
ways.
themselves, right? They're not buying it, and they're paying for it themselves, and that's those are all positive ways.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize is it's way cheaper. Because you're cutting the middleman completely out.
Yeah.
Everybody's sitting here saying, "Oh, record beef prices. These ranchers are all getting filthy rich." Well, we weren't during COVID, and they were
No.
record beef prices then too. And it was proven
Barely getting a paycheck this
that
year,
that the
hopefully.
packers, they were just jacking the price up because they knew
Yeah.
people would buy it.
Yeah.
Our cattle did not go up. They went up a
No,
little
they
bit
went
last
down.
year.
So-
Yeah, they went down, and then last year we had a little bit of a raise, and then this year we finally have a raise. And
Yep.
meanwhile, everything else in the grocery store has been inflated through the
Huge.
roof
Yep.
for the last 4 years.
Yep.
But we are just now.
So I
Anyways.
don't buy hamburger at the store, obviously. I've raised it here, but somebody said it's, like $6 a pound or something right now.
I thought it was
I
8
think
for
I
a
was
while.
going to say, I think that's even a couple dollars off.
Is it?
Yeah, it's higher than
I don't
that.
buy
So-
it either, but once in a
Yeah.
while, like, I'll be walking by and I'm like, oh, like, how do Americans afford that?
Yeah,
Well-
and
Just to make spaghetti with
Right.
like a pound of meat.
yeah.
But they go buy a bag of potato chips, and those are like almost $5. There's nothing in that,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
That's not even a meal. So, or an energy drink is $3.50, and
Yeah.
nice latte is what,
Yeah.
$8.50 or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't walk out of the gas station without spending $15 on
Right.
a bag of chips and
So all of a sudden,
soda.
a pan of hamburger looks relatively cheap, right? So,
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Anyways, that's been my rabbit holes lately. Things I've been stewing on because I don't know. I tend to go for like less regulation, less government. Like
Absolutely.
that's my foundation when I look at things. And so it's like, man, it's hard to take it away though after you've already given them that power,
yep.
right?
Try to kick the camel out with the tail.
Yeah,
not
you
gonna
can't
happen.
now. So as far as like the regulation being able to resell locally or something like that, probably a wish list, wishful
You know,
thinking, but
right, to get them completely out of there, it would be. But like a state
yeah.
inspection kind of a deal where you have local control over it.
Right.
That is something that we should be, fighting
Able
for,
to-
looking for. Don't make it federal, make it state.
That would be,
So-
that's a good thought
Yep.
because I think that would help a lot because that's the obstacle that I found. I don't know, do we even have any USDA certified butcher shops here in Nevada? I don't know if we do.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well,
I
not on
think
this
we
side
do.
at least.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm not
everybody,
sure.
like if you have to have your USDA inspected, you have to go to Utah, I think Tooele or Logan or something like that.
Right. And then for our listeners, if you're not super familiar with this, but if you want to buy meat from someone here locally, they can't just sell you the meat unless it's USDA inspected. Anyways.
So, can we transition a little bit?
Yes, go ahead. Get me
Okay.
out of this rabbit hole.
1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the bull sale tomorrow?
Absolutely.
November 6th.
Yep,
Yep, right here at Memory Ranches, your first bull sale.
it is.
Let's hear about the bulls.
So there'll be between 130, 140 lots, red and black Angus bulls. And there's also some fall yearling bulls. So we'll be doing this again next year. So this podcast will probably be out a little late.
It
Yeah.
is a little late, but we want to hear
Yeah.
still about it. So
Right.
is this going to be a yearly thing now?
Yep,
You hope.
yep.
Very neat.
Yep. So I've grown up showing bulls since I was, good grief, knee high, and been out in the corral kicking around showing bulls to guys that, a lot of guys that are still buying from us, and a lot of them have passed on, But I've learned a lot from some great cattlemen. You sit there and you watch them pick bulls and go through them, and my dad helping them with EPDs and that kind of thing, and so I've grown up with it for a long, long time. So, and it's we've sold bulls for good grief better than 50 years, and I finally just, I guess, talking to my dad and everything else, we finally decided to go to a bull sale route just because it'll buy us back a little bit of time, you know?
Yeah. So you have a lot of returning customers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So all the bulls are here on your property right now?
Yep.
Even though you said that, I know you mentioned you're going to have the TV screens tomorrow.
Yeah. So they're all just pinned up right here behind the barn.
Oh, okay.
But because it's our first bull sale and everything else, we don't have the infrastructure, right? The sale ring and all the lead ups and everything else to do a said bull sale. And so we decided we were just going to go with the digital version. The bulls all have videos of them anyway, so they're available for viewing.
Yeah.
When you come in the ring, you already know what you want to buy anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
you've been walking
You're
around
studying
those
those catalogs.
Very few people decide when they're sitting in the bleachers, right?
Yeah.
So so that's what we just opted to do.
Nice.
Very nice.
So your bulls, people who don't know our location, but we're kind of a high elevation up here, so high desert. And so as far as I know you want to be careful about buying bulls from like lower elevations and taking them higher because you can get problems with them. What's it called? Elevation?
So it's brisket disease or pap disease.
Okay.
Very arterial, good grief, can't even think what the other acronym for it is.
Something like that.
Yep. So essentially, cattle, like horses, we don't ever think about that.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's because horses are beasts of burden. And they've been bred and selected for generations to have
be hardy,
have lungs, right?
Yeah.
It's all about lung capacity.
Gotcha.
Like you could have a horse get pneumonia and lose 30% of his lungs, and your normal average rider wouldn't even know that the horse was missing 30% of his lung capacity, right? Now, like a race horse or a barrel horse, you might be able to tell, like, hey, this horse is just running out of air way faster, right? But a huge percentage of people would never be able to tell that their horse was lacking some lung capacity. Where with cattle, cow gets pneumonia and gets sick and loses 10%, they die at elevation because all of a sudden they don't have enough lung capacity to get oxygen to their blood.
Gotcha. And so inversely, taking one from high elevation to lower elevation, there's nothing they can get, right? Like it'd be fine.
Just a benefit. It's like an athlete training at high elevation and then coming and running at sea level.
Right.
Like they're going to kick everybody's butt, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's one of the perks about your location is now we have bulls that can thrive in any elevation because they've already been raised up here.
Yep.
So we know they're going to be just fine.
Yep. So these bulls, they range out to, they'll run up to 8,500 feet here.
Oh, wow.
Okay. The mountain here is 11.4, but we don't run clear on top. That's a forest permit.
Gotcha.
And so we have cows that get loose sometimes.
Yeah.
They get up higher, but 8,500 feet is typically as high as they go. But our entire cow herd has been papped at this point. Like we've tested all of our cows, all of our bulls and replacement heifers get tested. And they where the elevation that they get checked at is important as well. And so they're tested at 6,000 feet. And so you can't just take your cow from 2,500 feet and jump him on a semi and run him up to 6,000 feet and check him. They have to be there and kind of acclimate to that climate before the test is accurate.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, but it's all about lungs, really. What it is, it's heart disease, but it's about the lungs because if the lungs aren't big enough to get oxygen into the blood, that's when you have like brisket disease.
Definitely an advantage than buying from you guys.
Yep. And so lots of research. Dr. Holt in Colorado has done tons of research with this. And is the test perfect? No, it is not. But it is the most accurate thing we've got right now.
Yeah.
And it's definitely
it's a way to mitigate
difference.
risk a little bit. Yeah.
Yep. Lower the risk of how this is all working and so so these bulls are tested at 6,000 feet. When a bull tests at that elevation and tests in the 30s, he can go to any elevation in the world. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
Luke, what's this employee's name?
I don't know. That's Brody's dog. I have no idea what that dog's name is.
We don't even know that dog.
He's a rat killer. We had a pack rat in here the other day, and he is.
See, he is an employee.
Yeah.
He did a good job. Yeah, he's like, I earned my keep.
So that's a little bit about the PAP thing. Yeah.
Do you have certain EPDs that you're like hard on? Like I want low birth weight, or I want high weaning weight, or are you just going kind of moderate around there, mixing it up for your consumer? What do you?
Sure.
Give us a rundown.
So single trait selection is very dangerous to get into.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Okay. And so it's all about well-rounded for sure. We do sell a lot of heifer bulls. Like that's a market that we've always concentrated on.
Yeah.
And so our cattle have some very much bred in Cavanese, and there's a movement kind of in the industry right now about getting away from that. A lot of people are talking about, hey, we're going to breed ourselves into a hole with this Cavanese thing, but something they don't think about is if you let cattle go feral, they're Cavanese because the ones that aren't die. So it's us that has actually put birth weight into cattle.
And making them kind of
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right?
It's like English bulldogs. They can't even have puppies on their own anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we've done the same thing with cattle in the bigger growth cattle, right? And so the voices that we hear in the industry right now about, oh, we're getting too cavities, we're creating our problems and everything else. No, that's actually going closer to nature, because if it's the big birth weights that is not with nature. So yep. So
Interesting.
like we're not after jackrabbit calves.
Yeah.
We want them to grow.
Yeah.
And so, but that back in the day, you had to have big birth weights to get something that would grow, right? We've beat that trend.
Yeah.
You can have very moderate sized calves that grow like weeds when they hit the ground, right? So, and that's what we go for.
Yeah.
We want moderate calving cattle, and then we want good growth.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Excellent carcass. You got to have carcass. You got to have that marbling in
Gotta
that
have
meat.
carcass. What about milk? Milk's been kind of a thing we've been talking
can't
about.
have too much milk. They won't break back.
Okay. Yep.
So-
And we heard that too. And they just won't hold up in our
Right, in our
area.
environment. Yep.
Yeah. In our
Yep.
environment, they don't keep around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And like a lot of people, they get really wrapped up about growth numbers, right? And the problem with a lot of growth numbers is you get too much growth in your cows, and that's exactly what you lose is your cows first. Like they get too big, they get too coarse, they're not feminine anymore, and you lose your cows. The higher
Gotcha.
the growth you go, the worse your cows get. This is the truth. And so there's a moderate level to be at. There's a reason that like Charolais bulls have been terminal crossed for forever, because the calves grow really good.
Oh, yeah.
But nobody keeps the heifers. Very few people keep the heifers,
Yeah.
right? They terminal cross everything. But as far as mother cows go, you get too much growth and you lose the femininity and the productivity of that cow.
Gotcha. I had to tell Michelle about this, but so with the Charolais, if a cow's gonna hit me, it's a Charolais.
Is it?
Yeah.
Every single time. I don't know what they have
know our
against
name's
me.
Sadie.
Yeah, but a Charolais will come after me every time.
There was one in the branding
Yeah.
pen the other day, and it got up pretty quick, and she's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm gonna
There you
hobble
go.
over this way because, and I love them. Like I love the mask that they can put on
Sure.
a calf, and you
Yeah.
can cross them on anything and start putting some serious like massive development onto it. But yeah, they don't like me. So, and anyways, interesting.
They're going to break both your legs.
yeah.
They will at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I've
don't need that again.
No, no more. Yeah, thank you. Like that was.
You're so
great.
smart to listen to you.
I don't know how smart I am.
No,
but,
I feel like you could just talk
cats
for
and
hours.
cowboys.
Born and raised into it. You got to have a lot of knowledge.
Well, at 15, buying his foundation
know.
stud. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, thank you for chatting with us
Yeah.
today. We
Thank you.
really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me
It
on.
was
Giving
great
us your
getting to know you.
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
That was